The wind was strong, blowing snow across the frozen ground. Jace Carter stood alone on the ice planet Vyrex 7, scanning the ground with his handheld device. The sky above was dark, with 2 moons barely visible through the clouds. He was not supposed to be here for long, just a short mineral survey. But now something strange had happened. His scanner beeped. Once, then again, and again. Jace looked at the screen. It showed movement under the snow. Very light, very slow, but definitely something alive. No way, Jace whispered. He checked the temperature. -70 degrees Celsius. Nothing should be moving in this cold. Still, the signal was clear. He dropped to his knees and started digging. Snow and ice flew into the air as he worked. His fingers were numb, his breath frozen in the air. But he kept going. Something in his gut told him this was important. After 5 minutes, he saw something. A shape. It looked like an arm. Thin, pale blue, and not human. Jace's heart jumped. He dug faster. Soon, he uncovered the full body, a girl but definitely not from Earth. Her skin was smooth and glowing faintly. Her hair was silver white. She had strange marks on her face, like ancient symbols. She wasn't alone. Next to her, half buried in the ice, was another girl, almost the same but slightly taller. Both were unconscious, frozen, barely breathing. Jace checked their vitals. Weak but still alive. "What the hell are you two doing here?" he muttered. He pulled out 2 heat blankets from his survival pack and wrapped them around the girls. Then he pressed a signal on his wrist, calling his small ship closer. A few minutes later, the door of the small landing craft opened, and he carefully carried the girls inside. Inside the ship, the heater was on full power. The room was warm and dry. Jace placed the girls on 2 beds and gave them oxygen. Slowly, their skin color improved. Their bodies stopped shivering. Jace sat back and stared. Aliens. Real ones. And they look like sisters. He had seen many species during his work as an explorer, but never anything like this. They looked so human, but not quite. Suddenly, the younger-looking one moved her hand. Jace leaned in. Her eyes slowly opened. Bright purple. Glowing. She looked directly at him. "Stay calm," Jace said softly. "You're safe." The girl opened her mouth. She said something, but it wasn't in any language Jace knew. Then she passed out again. Jace's translator device beeped. It was trying to decode the alien language. Words slowly appeared on the screen. Cold, safe, you? A strange connection. An hour later, both girls were awake but weak. They didn't talk much, just stared at Jace like they didn't know if he was real. Jace offered them water. They drank slowly. Then the older one finally spoke, using broken English through the translator. "You are not enemy?" "No," Jace replied. "I saved you." She looked at her sister, then back at Jace. "We left behind. Many suns ago. Ship gone. We waited." Jace's eyes widened. "You mean, you've been trapped here for years?" She nodded slowly. "Others died. We last." The signal. Suddenly, a loud beep came from Jace's control panel. His ship had picked up a distress signal, but not from him. It was coming from somewhere high above. In orbit. Jace checked the radar. Something was moving up there. A small object, maybe a drone. His face turned serious. "You two were hiding from someone, weren't you?" The older sister looked scared. She grabbed his hand. "They come. If they find us, we die. Or worse." Jace felt a chill run down his spine. "Who are they?" She whispered one word. "Hunters." The cold wind outside howled against the metal walls of the small ship, but inside, there was silence. Jace Carter stood at the control panel, staring at the red warning light flashing steadily. Something was coming. Something fast. And it wasn't human. Behind him, the 2 alien sisters sat quietly on the edge of the medical beds. They were wrapped in thermal blankets, their glowing eyes following Jace's every move. The older one, Lexa, looked calm but alert. The younger one, Nira, seemed more fragile, her body still weak from the cold, but her eyes were sharp, watching, remembering. Jace turned to them. You need to tell me the truth. Who's out there? Lexa lowered her head. They find us, we die. Who are they? She hesitated, then finally said, Hunters. Not human. Not from one place. They work for those who made us. Jace blinked. Made you? Nira spoke for the first time since waking up, her voice soft. We were born in a lab. On a warship. We escaped. The silence grew heavier. Jace sat down slowly, trying to understand. So you're engineered? Lexa nodded. Created to serve. To fight. But we wanted freedom. He looked at them, so human in shape, so alien in presence. Their skin had a faint glow now that they were warming up. Strange, beautiful, but unnatural. How long were you trapped under the ice? Long time. Maybe 2 Earth years, Lexa answered. We waited for help. No one came. Jace rubbed his face. Until me. Nira leaned forward slightly, eyes wide. You came. You found us. You gave warmth. The way she said it made Jace uneasy. Grateful, yes. But there was something else in her voice. Something deeper. The radar beeped again. The object was closer. 20 kilometers above and descending. Time was running out. Jace stood. I have to move the ship. We can't stay here. Lexa stood with him. We go together. He didn't argue. The engines roared as the ship lifted off the ice and began flying low across the frozen landscape. Jace stayed low to the ground, hiding beneath the storm clouds, weaving through canyons of ice. But the tracker followed. They're locking on, he muttered. It's like they can smell you. Lexa looked out the window. Because we are not free. We are marked. Jace frowned. What does that mean? She pulled back her sleeve and revealed a small glowing symbol on her wrist. Pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. Signal. Built into us. Hidden deep. Jace stared. You're tagged. We tried to cut it, Nira whispered. It grows back. The words sent a chill down his spine. Whoever created them had planned well. These girls weren't just soldiers, they were property. Can I scan it? He asked. Lexa nodded. He ran the scanner over her wrist. The screen blinked for a moment, then displayed a message in an unknown code. Flashing symbols and red warning text. Encrypted, Jace muttered. I can't break it. The ship shook. Something flew past. A shadow in the snowstorm. Then a loud thud. They're here, Jace said, gripping the controls. A small black drone hovered outside the cockpit window. Sleek, silent, watching. Then, through the speakers, a message played in a cold, mechanical voice. Return the subjects. You have 60 seconds. Lexa stood between Jace and the window. We will not go. Then we fight, Jace said. He grabbed his rifle and passed another to Lexa. She held it with practiced hands. Nira stayed near the back, watching the screens, her eyes focused. Jace opened the ramp and stepped outside into the snow. The drone floated closer. He aimed and fired, direct hit. The drone exploded in a flash of sparks. But it was too late. Far above, something else dropped from orbit. A second, larger ship, black and silent, descending fast. Lexa stepped beside him. You saved us once. Let us help you now. Jace didn't argue. He just nodded. The sisters moved to his side, standing on either side like warriors. And for the first time, Jace realized something. They weren't just survivors. They weren't just victims. They were dangerous. Not to him, but to anyone who tried to take them. As the enemy ship touched down and its doors began to open, Jace raised his rifle. Beside him, Lexa whispered, We choose you. Nira added, We follow you. Jace gave a small, dry smile. Then let's make sure they regret coming here. Snow swirled around them. The wind screamed. And somewhere in the distance, the first enemy soldier stepped out of the shadows. The snow was falling harder now, thick flakes crashing into the ground like ash from the sky. Jace Carter stood outside his ship, the cold biting at his skin even through the heat suit. On either side of him, the two alien sisters, Lexa and Nira, stood silently, their glowing eyes fixed on the black ship that had just landed. The enemy had arrived. The doors of the dark vessel hissed open with a slow, Sharp sound. Steam spilled out. From the shadow inside, a figure stepped forward. Tall, covered in black armor, no face, just a smooth metal helmet with a red stripe across it. One step, two. Then another figure followed. And then a third. They didn't speak. They didn't have to. They knew what they had come for. Lexa moved slightly in front of Jace. Do not speak. Do not trust. They lie with soft words and kill with sharp hands. Jace gripped his rifle tighter. Noted. The three armored soldiers spread out slowly. One raised a small device, aimed it at the sisters. It beeped once. Loud. High-pitched. The red stripe on the helmet glowed brighter. They've confirmed identity, Jace whispered. Nira's hands were shaking, but her face was calm. A voice came from the lead soldier's helmet. Flat, cold, and emotionless. Return the assets. Step aside, human. This does not concern your species. Jace didn't move. They're not assets. They're people. Incorrect. Without warning, the soldier raised his arm. A bright pulse of energy shot out, hitting the ground in front of Jace. A warning shot. Lexa moved fast. She pulled Jace back and raised her own weapon. Nira stepped beside her and placed her hand on the ground. A strange glow spread beneath her fingers, blue light flowing like water through the snow. Then something strange happened. The ground trembled. The snow between them and the soldiers rose up, sharp, frozen spikes forming a wall of ice. Jace stared. What the hell was that? Lexa didn't answer. She was already running. Come, she shouted. We go now. Jace followed without a second thought. The three of them dashed toward the canyon nearby, deeper into the frozen land. The sisters knew the terrain better. They moved like ghosts through the ice. Behind them, the enemy fired. Red beams lit the sky. One hit the ground just inches from Jace's feet. He slipped, but Lexa caught his arm and pulled him up. As they entered a narrow passage between two ice cliffs, Nira suddenly stopped. We cannot run forever, she said. They will chase. Always. Jace looked around, breathing hard. Then what do we do? Lexa touched the wall beside her, then pulled out a small metal disc from her coat. She pressed it into the ice. A soft beep. Then a door appeared. A hidden passage, carved into the glacier. A shelter, she said. From old days, before we escaped. Inside was a small chamber just big enough for them to hide. Once they were in, the door vanished behind them, sealing shut. Darkness. Only the soft blue light from Lexa's wrist gave them any vision. Jace leaned against the wall, exhausted. You have powers, abilities. Lexa nodded. Not powers. Design. We were made to survive. To fight. To kill if needed. But why were you left behind? Jace asked. Nira looked down. We were broken. Weak. We disobeyed. Jace felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. So they abandoned you? They hunted us, Lexa said. We fled. Hid under snow. We waited for death. Jace sat silently. And now they're back to finish the job. Lexa looked at him. But now you are here. Nira added softly. You woke something inside us when you saved us. Jace looked confused. Woke what? Neither of them answered. But Nira moved closer to him and placed her hand gently on his chest. We feel your heartbeat. It changed ours. Before he could say anything, the shelter's walls began to vibrate. Boom. Then again. Boom. Lexa stood up. They found us. Jace grabbed his weapon. How? You said this place was hidden. They are not just machines, Nira said. They smell thought. They follow fear. The wall cracked slightly. A beam of red light pierced through for a second, then vanished. Jace looked at both sisters. Then we fight here. Together. Lexa nodded. We will not be taken. Never again. Nira whispered. And if we fall with you. Jace raised his weapon. Let them come. Outside, the hunters gathered at the wall, preparing to break through. Inside, Jace and the sisters stood ready, 3 against many. And deep in Jace's mind, something changed. He didn't just want to protect them. He needed them. and somehow he felt they needed him too. The ice wall exploded inward. Shards flew through the shelter like glass. Jace dropped to the ground, pulling Nira with him, while Lexa jumped in front of them, her hands glowing bright blue. The light pulsed from her palms, forming a shield that blocked the second blast. Smoke filled the chamber. Voices, metallic and sharp, echoed through the cracks in the ice. Target located. Proceed with capture. Jace fired his rifle blindly through the smoke. One of the enemy soldiers grunted. Another beam came back in return, hitting the wall inches from Nira's face. They were surrounded. Lexa turned to Jace, her face tight with urgency. They want us alive, but not you. I kind of figured that, Jace muttered. Then you must leave, she said. I'm not going anywhere. Nira reached into her coat and pulled out a small silver orb. She whispered a word in her language, and the orb lit up, spinning fast. What is that? Jace asked. Lexa placed her hand over it. Memory key. It will show you everything. The orb floated into the air. A blue hologram spread across the room. Images, broken pieces of memories. Jace saw flashes. 2 girls, younger, inside a clean white lab. Metal walls, needles, machines. Scientists watching from behind glass. A screen above them said Project Echo Bond. The image changed. Screaming, chaos, explosions, the lab on fire. Then a voice. Subjects 7 and 8 are no longer stable. Erase them. Jace's chest tightened. They tried to kill you. We ran, Nira said softly. We were not perfect. We loved too much. Felt too much. Jace looked at her. They saw that as weakness? They wanted weapons, not sisters. Suddenly, the orb blinked red and fell to the floor. They've jammed the memory link, Lexa said. We have no more time. Jace stood, eyes fierce now. Then let's end this. Before anyone could speak, the roof of the shelter cracked open, smashed by a massive claw. Not a machine. A creature, 8 feet tall, all bone and steel, engineered like the sisters, but without emotion. A true weapon. Nira gasped. They brought him. Lexa grabbed Jace's hand. Run. No, he said. We fight. The creature dropped into the room. Red eyes locked on Lexa. Subject 7. Return. She shook her head. I am not yours. The creature charged. Jace and Lexa fired at the same time. Their blasts hit it square in the chest. But it didn't slow down. It knocked Jace across the room and slammed Lexa into the wall. Nira screamed. Her eyes began to glow. She stepped forward, both hands rising. The air around her shimmered. Frost formed in the air, spinning like a storm around her fingers. The creature turned toward her, but stopped. Nira was changing. Her skin shimmered brighter. Her body lifted slightly from the ground. Jace crawled to her. Nira, stop. You're hurting yourself. She didn't hear him, or maybe she couldn't. With a scream that shook the walls, she released the storm. A wave of cold hit the creature like a hammer, freezing it mid-step. Ice spread across its body, locking it in place. Its red eyes flickered, then went dark. Then everything went quiet. Jace stood up slowly. The room was a mess of broken ice, smoke, and blue frost. Lexa coughed, holding her side. He rushed to her. You okay? She nodded weakly. Just bruised. Nira fell to her knees, breathing hard. Her glow faded. You saved us, Jace said, touching her shoulder. She looked at him with tears in her glowing eyes. I was afraid, but you were with me. Jace helped her up. You're not alone anymore. Lexa walked to them slowly, still watching the frozen monster. He was one of us once, she said, but they erased his mind, made him into that. They tried to do the same to you? Yes, Lexa whispered, but we had each other, and now, we have you. Jace stared at both of them, confused, tired, and full of questions. But deep inside, one thought kept returning. Why did he feel like he belonged with them? Before he could speak, the ground shook again. Another ship, bigger, landing nearby. Lexa turned to Jace, eyes hard. They won't stop. We must leave this planet. Jace nodded. Then let's run now. Talk later. But as they exited the ruined shelter, a signal lit up on Jace's wrist. A message from Earth Command. Unauthorized alien contact detected. Return immediately or face arrest. Jace stared at it, then at the sisters. He had a choice to make, and he already knew what it would be. The stars were beginning to fade as the icy planet turned slowly toward its pale sun. Dawn on Vyrex 7 didn't bring warmth, just more shadows stretching across endless fields of frozen silence. Jace Carter stood alone outside his ship, staring up at the sky where the enemy ship had disappeared minutes ago. They hadn't attacked again. Not yet. He knew they would return. But right now the world was quiet. Too quiet. Behind him, the sisters sat near the heat core of the ship. Wrapped in thin blankets, their eyes flickered with exhaustion. But not fear. They were safe for now. Safe. Because of him. Lexa watched him through the glass. He hasn't moved. He's thinking, Nira whispered. About us. Lexa turned toward her sister. And if he chooses to leave? Nira didn't answer. Jace walked back in without a word. His face unreadable. I just got a message from Earth Command, he said. They're watching. They know I made contact. Nira looked up. Will they come for us too? They'll come for me first, Jace said. Then they'll ask questions. Lexa stood slowly. Then you must leave. Now, we will go another way. No, he said quickly. I'm not leaving you two behind. Lexa looked into his eyes. Why? That word hung in the air like a heavy weight. Why? Why risk everything for two aliens? Why care this much? Why stay? Jace didn't answer right away. He just stared at them. You trusted me when I didn't deserve it, he said. You could have run, could have lied, but instead you protected me. You almost died for me. He stepped closer, speaking softer now. I don't know what kind of bond was made when I pulled you from the ice, but I feel it too. Lexa and Nira both looked at him with something deep in their eyes. Not just gratitude, something else. Nira reached into her jacket and pulled out a silver thread. She held it between her fingers. It glowed softly, like a small flame. We were created to follow commands, she said, to obey. But we broke free and made our own choice. Lexa nodded. And now we make another one. She stepped forward and held Jace's hand. In our culture, saving a life is not small. Saving a soul is everything. Nira joined her. We are bound to you now, not because we must, but because we choose. Jace felt a strange warmth rise in his chest. The thread between their fingers stretched and floated upward, glowing brighter. Lexa said the words softly. Bond accepted. Nira smiled. Marriage in our world means protection, loyalty, and soul connection. Jace's eyes widened. Wait, you're saying you just married me? In our way, yes, Lexa replied. And you don't need my permission? You saved us, Nira said gently. You gave your life to us. That is permission. Jace stood frozen, stunned, but not angry. He looked from one to the other. And what if I don't feel the same? Lexa tilted her head. Then we leave. Forever. But your heart already speaks. He opened his mouth to argue, but didn't. Because deep down he knew she was right. Before he could say more, the ship's alarm sounded. A blinking red light flashed on the console. Another signal. But this time, not from the enemy. From orbit. Jace ran to the panel and checked the screen. His eyes narrowed. It's a beacon. Civilian. Human? Lexa asked. Yes, Jace said. But it's old. Crashed long ago. Could be useful tech. Or a trap. Lexa turned to Nira. It's a chance. Nira looked at Jace. You decide. We follow. He stared at the screen, then at them. Two aliens. Not human. Not even from the same stars. But somehow, more familiar to him than anyone back home. He pressed the throttle. Let's check it out. Together. As the ship lifted into the sky, Lexa whispered to Nira. He didn't say the words. Nira smiled. Not with his mouth. Outside, the pale sun rose fully over Vyrex 7. And inside the ship, a human and two alien sisters flew toward the unknown. Not just running, but beginning something new. The crash site was quiet. Silent metal bones lay half-buried in the snow. An old Earth escape pod, rusted, broken, forgotten by time. A reminder that this world had seen visitors long before Jace Carter ever stepped on it. His boots crunched through the snow as he walked toward the wreckage, Lexa and Nira close behind. The wind was gentle now, calm, as if the planet was holding its breath. "It's dead," Jace muttered, scanning the wreck. "No power, no signal, just junk." Lexa placed her hand on the metal. "No, it watched us land." Jace turned sharply. "You think it's a trap?" "No," she said. "I think it's bait." Suddenly, a spark of blue light flashed from the wreckage. Not from the ship itself, but beneath it. The ground trembled. Jace backed away. "Everyone move." The snow exploded upward. A blast of energy threw them to the ground. From the crater rose something tall, thin, and humming with strange sound. A hidden device, like a beacon mixed with a weapon. Symbols pulsed across its surface in a language Jace didn't recognize. Lexa grabbed his hand. "Run!" But it was too late. The beacon released a second wave, this one not a blast, but a sound. High, sharp, vibrating inside the skull. Jace screamed and dropped to his knees. His vision blurred. He saw flashes of them, the hunters, the creators, the cold lab rooms. Not his memories. The pain stopped just as quickly as it came. Lexa and Nira rushed to his side. "What was that?" Jace gasped. Nira's voice trembled. "They saw through us. Through you. They were scanning your mind," Lexa said. "Now they know how much you care." Jace's heart pounded. "And that gives them power?" "No," Nira said quietly. "That gives them fear." Before Jace could respond, a roar filled the sky. The enemy had returned, this time not in silence. Their main ship descended, heavy and sharp like a falling blade. Not sleek like before, but monstrous. A war machine. Jace stood quickly. "No more running." Lexa gave him a hard look. "They have more soldiers now. Then we fight harder." The ship landed with a crash. Dozens of black armored troops stormed out in rows, moving like one body, one mind. Cold. Precise. But this time, Jace had something they didn't. He had them. Nira stepped forward and removed the necklace from her neck. She handed it to Lexa. Lexa took it, pressed a hidden point, and the necklace unfolded into two glowing blades. Curved, silent, deadly. Jace's eyes widened. "You never told me you had weapons like that." "We never needed them before," Lexa said. The ground beneath the sisters pulsed again, this time with their own energy. Snow rose around them, not from wind, but from their power. The bond between them, and now the bond with Jace, had changed something inside. They weren't running anymore. They were becoming. The first enemy trooper raised a weapon. Jace didn't wait. He fired. The battlefield exploded into chaos. Blasts of red, beams of blue, the crash of weapons on armor. Lexa moved like a shadow, cutting through enemies with precision and fury. Nira stood at Jace's back, sending waves of cold that froze machines mid-step. Jace fought like he never had before. Not just to survive, but to protect. To belong. They moved together. One team. One bond. Then, through the smoke, came the enemy commander. Not a soldier. Something worse. It was tall, armored in silver and red, eyes glowing with cruel intelligence. "You ruined the experiment," it said. "You are the experiment," Jace shouted, raising his rifle. "No, you are the virus," the commander replied. "A human soul, infecting our design." Lexa stood beside Jace. "You forgot something. We chose him." Nira stood at his other side. "And he chose us." The commander tilted its head. "Then you die as one." He raised his hand, but before he could strike, the ground cracked beneath him. A pulse of light burst upward. It wasn't from Nira. It wasn't from Lexa. It was from Jace. His chest glowed faintly, where Nira had once touched him in the cave. Lexa whispered, stunned. He carries our code. Nira stepped back in awe. He is linked. Jace didn't understand it. He didn't need to. He just let it happen. The energy flowed out of him, not as a weapon but as a shield. A force field formed, wrapping around the three of them. The commander's strike hit the barrier and failed. Impossible, the machine hissed. Lexa looked at Jace, eyes filled with something new. You're not just with us. You are one of us. Together, they stepped forward, light burning around them, power not from war, but from choice, from love. And as they faced the enemy's last wave, Jace smiled. Let's end this. Snow fell silently over a battlefield that no longer burned. The wreckage of machines and metal lay frozen under layers of frost. Broken helmets, cracked armor, blue light fading from the bodies of those who had come to hunt. They had lost, and the ones who should never have survived were still standing. Jace Carter sat on a rock near the edge of a frozen cliff, looking out across the pale white valley. His clothes were torn. His arm was wrapped in makeshift bandages. But he was alive, and not alone. Nira knelt beside a fire, her fingers glowing faintly as she kept the flames alive with her energy. Quiet, focused, peaceful. Lexa stood further back, her eyes scanning the horizon. Always alert, always ready. But something in her posture had changed. She no longer looked like someone on the run. She looked like someone who had won. Jace watched them both, and for the first time since this all began, he felt the question rise. What happens now? Lexa turned to him. Now we choose. Nira added. Before we only escaped. Now we begin. Jace smiled faintly. You talk like you're free. Lexa walked over and stood beside him. A bond made by fear is prison. A bond made by trust is freedom. Jace looked down at his wrist. The mark still glowed there. Faint, warm, strange. Ever since the battle, something inside him had changed. Not pain, not sickness. Connection. He was linked to them. Maybe forever. You two really married me, he said, shaking his head. Nira giggled from the fire. Not by earth law. Yet, Lexa said. He gave her a look, half amused, half uncertain. You're serious? Lexa didn't smile. You risked everything. For us, you shared pain, blood, memory. You didn't just fight beside us. You became part of us. Jace turned back toward the valley. Earth Command won't understand. They never will, Nira said softly. But you don't belong to them now. Jace stared at the distant sky. In the far distance, he could see a faint blue shimmer, the energy trail left behind by the enemy ship as it escaped. One ship had fled the battle, which meant, they'll return, he said. Lexa nodded. They'll bring more. Jace stood slowly. Then we need to leave this planet. Get ahead of them. He walked to the ship, now mostly repaired, the sisters having used parts from enemy tech to boost its power. Before stepping inside, he paused. There's a spaceport 2 systems away. If we can get there, we might find allies. Lexa looked at him. And if we don't? Then we make our own, he said. Nira smiled and ran ahead of them. We can paint the ship. We are a family now. It should have our name. Lexa raised an eyebrow. What name? Jace leaned against the doorframe and said, I was thinking something like... He stopped. In the distance, a small blinking light appeared in the sky. Not from Earth. Not from the enemy. A third signal. Unmarked. Unknown. Nira saw it first. Another one? Lexa narrowed her eyes. It's not military. Jace checked the scanner. It's a message. Repeating. Simple code. He played it through the ship's speakers. To the one who carries the echo bond. We see you. Silence. Then the message repeated. Lexa looked at Jace. They know what you are. Jace turned off the signal. So the universe just got a little smaller. Nira touched his arm gently. Or a little bigger. He smiled. Inside the ship, engines came to life, glowing with new energy, half human, half alien. Jace sat in the pilot's chair. The sisters sat beside him. 3 souls. One path. The ship rose into the sky. Behind them, the ice planet shrank slowly. Ahead of them, stars, danger, and the unknown. And maybe love. Not the kind written in rules or data files, but the kind chosen in fire. The kind that binds not just bodies, but hearts. To some, Jace Carter had broken protocol. To others, he had broken nature. But to two alien sisters, frozen and forgotten, he had rewritten fate.